tired of the goddamn Bob Dylan vocal slander. He's not an amazing singer, I get that, but he has a voice.
Listen up. Hate to interrupt, but welcome to Hate to Interrupt, episode 25, I believe we're at now.
Yes.
I am Ethan, otherwise known as Gulif from youtube.com/Gulif, and I am joined by
Nick from Stop Culture.
VHS guy Nick.
And Rendan from Rendan Lovell.
Yes, we have a special guest.
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
excited to be here, fellas.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. We reached out to you about like a week and a half ago and been, talking about doing this for a while, starting to get interview guests on here. And now we've got Rendan, our very first one. So today we're going to be talking about a movie that Rendan recommended, which is a 2015 film by Trey Edward Schultz called Krisha, which was incredible. I really loved it.
Let's go.
Also, before that, we just want to get into some interview questions, just get to know Rendan a little bit more. Our listeners can check out his channel and get to know a little bit more about him. So, Nick, you had a couple like sort of introductory questions to ask first. Like, why don't we get the ground level with those,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, my first question is just what kind of got you into movies in general?
Oh man, that is a good question. I don't know what specifically got me into movies, but I remember watching this is a little like it's kind of film bro, but I got into movies because of Christopher Nolan, oddly enough. And now I'm like his biggest critic. But I really, really loved Memento. That was like the first movie I watched where I was like, somebody made these decisions. And at that point it was like the 2012 Avengers was like the biggest thing on the block. And I was like, watching that compared to Memento was there's like a culture shock where I was like, okay, this is made for a product. It's purely for entertainment. And then I watched Memento. I'm like, okay, there's two different storylines going on. Someone's making these very purposeful decisions. And I think that was what kind of got me into movies in general as more of an art form. I always saw it as entertainment. And then it was like, oh, wait, no, there's like way more to this than I thought. So that's probably the catalyst to getting into it.
Wait, real quick though. You said so now you're one of Christopher Nolan's biggest critics. Just delve into that for a second. I'm curious what you're going to say about that.
I still think I think he's an incredibly talented director. I don't want to besmirch his name too much, but I think a lot of his stuff, now that he's kind of hit this career peak where he's super popular, I think he's playing it very safe recently. I didn't really care for Oppenheimer personally. I thought it was a 3-hour long Wikipedia page. So I like a lot of his recent Tenet as well. I think he's just kind of playing it safe. And I feel like he can do so much more with his talent than just these kind of like the Odyssey. It sounds interesting, but it's just the Odyssey again. So I don't know. I want him to get back into doing something interesting.
I heard that rumor that he was doing a vampire movie before they announced that it was the Odyssey. I was like,
I would love that.
I might actually be excited for a Nolan movie.
I heard a rumor that he was doing like a helicopter cops movie. Did anyone else hear that?
That sounds sick too.
That sounds awesome. I didn't hear that.
Man, those must have been false. It is funny that you, as soon as you mentioned Oppenheimer, the two Nicks kind of had a look on their face because they have constantly been arguing about whether they like Oppenheimer or not. I
really,
I'm out of this
discussion. I don't like it, but Nick.
I love Oppenheimer. Nick hates Oppenheimer, so it's,
well, that's perfect because I'm right in the middle.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you about Tenet. I could not even believe what I was watching when I was watching that movie.
Oh my god, dude!
People get on Christopher Nolan for the his exposition problem, but that movie, it was so egregious in that movie. I was like, what the fuck even is this?
And even just on a technical level, like the sound design was fucking atrocious.
That was the main thing. It's like they were trying to. It's like a Christopher Nolan movie on extreme hardcore difficulty because all the sound design is extremely loud and all the dialogue is super complicated and
quiet.
Just like, and then the momentum of the time is going to be a bit, and you just hear "Bwah" in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even critical of Interstellar, which is everybody's favorite, but
I am too.
It's not my jam.
Yeah.
I don't know. His recent stuff just
doesn't hold up.
work for me. Yeah. I really love it visually. I think it's gorgeous. I think all of his stuff is gorgeous. Oppenheimer is a great looking movie. But I think
except
a lot of his
nuke.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't want to get
the
too
little
much
sparkler he sets off.
Yeah, but I think all his movies look great, and I think he's incredibly talented. But recently, a lot of his scripts just kind of I think fall into the cliche territory or into it's all love, and then they just hand wipe away anything else.
Do you think
Not my
that's
jam.
partly because his brother is no longer writing with him?
I had suspicions about that. Yeah, I think Jonathan did bring a lot to it. Or I mean, even what is his name, David S. Goyer, writing for like The Dark Knight. I think Christopher Nolan is a talented writer in some respects, and then in others I think falls a little short. I don't know if it's
he feels like the ideas man to me.
yes,
more so
yes.
than
I think that's
Good at
kind
big
of my
picture.
thought. Yeah, great at big picture, and then you kind of need somebody to come in and fill in the details a little bit. Like David S. Goyer has always been the guy that's like, here, I got the very clear structure, I got the very clear characters, and then Chris Nolan can come in and make it his own. But
Did he do
not anymore.
Inception with his brother, or was that with Goyer?
I believe he did.
I think it was, yeah. I don't remember though.
Nick, did you have another question? I have a bunch.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, this is a similar vein, but like, what got you started making your YouTube channel? You've been doing it for a while.
Oh, I've been doing it forever. I've been doing it long. I mean, I've been doing this channel that I'm running right now since 2016. The first video I did was for Suicide Squad, which was
Oh,
fun. Classic, yeah, banger. One of the worst DC movies
Oscar
ever.
award-winning film.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. And then I was riding the trends for a long time. I had like a sketch comedy channel in like 2010 that I ran that I realized that I hated doing. So I stopped doing it. And then PewDiePie got famous. And then I was like, I'm going to do gaming. I love gaming. I'm going to do that. And then I hated doing that. So I think it was around the time I had already been doing YouTube. And then it was around that time when I watched some interesting films and decided, hey, you know what? Let's just make a channel about that, because that's way more interesting than just sitting down and playing games and then watching myself play games and trying to edit. That was a nightmare. So that was probably it.
Were there any like film YouTubers that you saw and you were like, oh, maybe I could do that too?
Oddly enough, not really. This is the cringiest thing I could say, but I watched IGN movie reviews way back in like 2012. And so my channel initially was like emulating that. And then as I got more into it, it was like I got into YMS, IHE, Red Letter Media. And then recently I haven't really been watching a lot of YouTube, so I don't know who really is even doing it anymore. But those were the guys that kind of got me into the YouTube film criticism space.
Oh, so are you a Sardinicast guy?
I was for a minute. I did enjoy it when it first started, but I haven't listened to it for a while. Sorry. But I watched like 5 or 6 episodes and I kind of stopped.
Yeah.
Are you a mega fan of Chris Stuckman like we all are?
Dude, Chris Stuckman seems like a good dude, but I'm not a fan of his channel.
Yeah, I think we're all the same boat. We're building up to getting him on the pod one day. That's our dream.
I'd watch. That'd be awesome. Or Jeremy Johns. Yeah.
Oh boy.
If he's seen an episode, we're already blacklisted.
Yeah.
We should probably explain. Like, I don't know what came over me, but like on our first episode I said something where I was like, what if we just bring up Chris Stuckman or say get Stuckmanized at the end of every episode we've done? We've been doing this for 25 episodes and we've done it. We've at least dedicated like 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes of every episode to Chris Stuckman so far. So the goal is to eventually have like, you know, after 2 or 3 years of this, to make a compilation and send to him, and he'll probably be kind of scared, but maybe want to talk to us.
There's a stalker podcast.
I can't wait to be Stuckmanized today. Then this is gonna be great.
There we go. There's our mandated catchphrase.
Once we all see Shelby Oaks, we'll have some more ammo to get him on.
I was just gonna bring that up. I can't wait to watch it.
I actually really want to watch Shelby Oaks. I want to see what he does.
Yeah,
I like horror movies, so I'm optimistic, but we'll see.
Yeah. So like you were saying, you've had your channel for 8 years now, I guess. I checked on your description. Like, I guess you made the channel a decade ago, but didn't start till 2 years after that or whatever. Because like, you know, in comparison to us, we've all been doing this for, I don't know, I think Ethan has been the longest running, like basically just like a couple years each. But I watched your very first video, the Suicide Squad video that you talked about, and then the video you put out yesterday, and just like the differences in like tone, your editing style, even just the way you come across on camera has changed so much over the years. I was just wondering, like, was that a concerted effort that you made on your own part? Was that like an organic thing that just happened, or did you try to, you know, switch things up at a certain point?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a bit of a bit of everything. So, I mean, that first video is horrendous. I've actually thought a lot about just putting it on private because I can't even watch it myself. It's just me talking to a camera and like barely any cuts, barely any edits. It's horrible. But I think it's a combination of everything because like, one of my favorite quotes is the more I practice, the luckier I get. And I kind of apply that to everything where I'm like, okay, if I'm in front of the camera, 400 times, eventually I'll just get comfortable in front of the camera. Because if you go back and watch that first video, I'm not comfortable at all. Like I'm quiet. I don't know where I'm looking. It's so awkward. So that's a part of it, is just practicing, getting the repetitions in. And then it's also like, I would feel very, I don't know what the word is. I'd feel stupid if I didn't try to improve something every time. So whenever I make a video, I'm like, okay, what am I going to focus on to make this like 1% better? So just this compound effect over time to help me just create better and better works. I'm going to focus on the audio this time, maybe focus on that a little bit more, maybe do the lighting a little bit better, do it a little bit different camera work, something, just anything I can think of that can make something 1% better. Over time, like you said, it makes a huge difference. Even if it's, over the course of years, I think it makes a massive difference. Even a video I made last year, I watched that and I'm like, it's not right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
bit of everything.
Well, that's good. That's good that you think of things that way,
That's exactly how I do it too. Every single video, I pick one thing out.
I have a question for Rendan, but also just for all of us in general. How long did it take for us to stop finding our voices cringe in audio? Because, well, this might be different for Nick since you're a musician, so you've probably been dealing with that a lot longer. But yeah, how long? Because for me, it was about 6 months, and then I was like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, it wasn't that long for me. It was probably around the same amount of time. It's like 6 months. If the voice wasn't it for me, it was like the look. Every time I'd look at myself, I would see like, ooh, why am I doing that? Oh, like I looked away from the camera. Why did I do that? That one, it took way longer, but voice wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
For me, it's not really voice. It's because I used to do customer service like for a long time, so I hear my voice like a million times. But yeah, it's like my voice saying my scripts is the thing that's cringy for me. It's like it's more me judging what I've written than my voice itself.
Yeah, you're definitely right that doing music made it easier for me to just like hear myself back and not feel strange about it. But there's also it's just like a performative difference between singing or just recording vocals in a musical context and then doing narration. It's like entirely different skill set. So like the first couple of videos, I think I don't even have them on my channel anymore. The first ones that I did, I either privated or deleted, but like I showed them to my friends and they're like, why are you talking like that? Why are you putting on this voice? And I'm like, I think you have to that, which is kind of what my next question is about. It's like, I think you have to kind of put on a certain sort of persona while trying to keep parts of yourself. So yeah, I mean, that's basically what my next question to Rendan is about. It's like, I think a lot of YouTubers struggle with that. It's like, how much are you going to show the audience your unvarnished, authentic self, but also, keep in mind that you're an entertainer at the end of the day, because all YouTubers are. So it's like, you in particular, I think, are a content creator who really, you convey your personality like very effortlessly, especially even like your most latest videos that I've seen from you. It's just really naturalistic. So like, what was the process of you trying to find a way to protect those essential pieces of your real personality on screen while also developing a watchable online persona?
Oh man, I don't even know. That's a head scratcher. I think
if it all just comes to you over time, that's totally fine too.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think goes back to what I said earlier. It's just kind of getting reps up. Like you're never gonna go anywhere unless you do it a bunch of times. I mean, I have tons of videos that I haven't even put out, or I probably won't put out, where I'm like, that's just not right, or it feels wrong. So I think it's a combination again of just like getting the reps up, just so you can be like, okay, how is this coming across? And that's a big part of everything I do too, is just like you said earlier, it's like the tone of things I think is really important, what I'm trying to communicate. So if it's like a silly, I'm going to tear this movie down, which I don't do too much anymore. But if I really want to go after a movie like Downhill, then it tends to lean into a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more silly, even though, because my personality is usually pretty out there. It's usually pretty silly, I guess is the right word. But so that comes off a little bit more naturally with something I'm actually making fun of. Whereas then with this recent video I've done with Force Majeure and Downhill, is a weird combination of both, because Downhill is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life. And then Force Majeure is like this great piece of art. And it's like, okay, how do you balance this thing with this thing that are so different, but are a remake of each other? So it's like, yeah, okay, I want to be a little bit silly with certain things, but then I have to kind of be serious to get the correct point across. Because if you're saying something in a silly way, trying to make a point, no one's going to take you seriously. That happened to me a lot. I mean, I get comments on my Gentleman video from like 6 years ago all the time, where they're like, "You're such a loser, you suck," because I was going after this movie, but I did it in a way where it didn't feel like I was having fun with it. So there's jokes I made in the video that were like these dry, sarcastic things that I thought were funny, and then people were like, "You weren't that. Why would you say something like that?" Because I presented it all wrong. So it's just figuring out over time.
Yeah, I totally feel you. I mean, I guess for me personally, I did try to like make it, and it was a concerted effort for me, because I'm not naturally like a very extroverted, bubbly person, but like YouTube, people like that thrive on YouTube. So I have to like kind of try to bring that out of myself a little bit more, like extroversion and effervescence or whatever the fuck.
Right.
So people will be like, oh, this guy's someone that I want to listen to, rather than just be like, hello, this is my opinion about this movie, you know? So
that's what this podcast is for.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing the pod.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of that way too. I'm a little bit more introverted than you might think, but once you get in front of the camera, it's like, I actually have this thing I started doing this year that I don't know if it's working at all, but I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? Every time I make a video or do a narration, I'm going to absolutely shotgun a Red Bull and then just see what happens. Just give me a little bit more energy. So I don't know if it's working, but it's fun.
No, you definitely have great energy on camera. I have a question. So whenever it comes to like the script writing process, like, how do you get your ideas? Do they just kind of come naturally as you progress through your day, or do you like actively sit down and try to think of things to make videos about?
Yeah, the ideas don't come very often. Sometimes I do like going and sitting outside and just like being still and just thinking about things, and sometimes ideas come that way. But I think for me, the biggest thing I do to get good ideas is, or maybe not even good ideas, just ideas, is I just watch a shitload of movies. Like I will put aside at least 2 days a week where all I'm going to do is watch something I find interesting. So like my Tuesday nights is my classic movie nights. I'm going to watch classic movies, and if I like them, I like them. If I don't, I don't. If I get ideas, that's cool. If not, that's cool. So I don't really have I don't have expectations for ideas to come or not come. I just like watching movies. So I go to see a new movie on Thursday. I watch a classic movie on Tuesday. And if I got ideas for them there, that's great. If not, that's great. And I'll write a script for it. The video I just put out, the Downhill video, is actually a script I wrote over a year ago. So it just kind of, sometimes they just get put on the shelf. I come back to them, tweak them up a little bit, or they just never come out.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you asked that, Nick, because that's sort of, it's kind of the basis of my next question, is like, because for me, one of the most difficult aspects of doing YouTube at all is consistently coming up with video ideas, or at least like worthwhile ones. You have a lot of ideas, not all of them are great or worth, because you're gonna have to spend a ton of work editing them, finding clips and all that shit. It's like, that being said, a lot of really successful YouTubers recommend keeping to like something that resembles a rigorous schedule, for the algorithm's sake or whatever. But if you have no great idea that week, it can kind of feel like pointless, and sort of like disheartening sometimes, to just like put a bunch of work into writing a script and doing editing for an idea you like don't really believe in that much. But, it's just like that back and forth, being like, should I keep to the schedule, or should I just wait for inspiration to hit me? So I'm just like wondering, do you deal with that at all too? Like the kind of like devil and God on your shoulder, like, oh, I have to keep my schedule, or I don't have a good idea. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Oh yeah. All the time. Literally all the time. I think about it every day. Like I'm like, okay, should I put a video out one a week, 2 a week? should I not put a video out? If I don't have an idea, do I work on something? Do I not work on something? I think about it all the time. Literally, like every single day I think about editing something or writing something just so I have something to put out. I mean, I put out a video for the movie The Monkey, and I didn't really like it, the movie, and I didn't really have a ton to say, but I put out a video anyway because I felt pressure to. And it's like fine, it's a fine video, but it's it wasn't anything that I was super passionate about. So I think that what I would recommend is not, but it's impossible to not think that way. Like you can put out a video on any time. I put out a video where I had a commentary track on the Titanic. It's a 3.5 hour commentary track. And that video was like a bomb in the first week. And I was like, yeah, all right, it was fun. And now it has like almost 100,000 views out of nowhere. So it just doesn't, I don't think it matters when you put out a video or how long you make people wait for a video. But I do think about that, where I'm like, okay, these people that always come to my comment section, that are always there supporting me, I want to give them something. I want them to be like, okay, he's working on something, he cares. And it's not that I don't. Sometimes it's just, a couple weeks go by and there's nothing interesting, or I'm working on something and want to take more time. So yeah, it's something I always think about, but I've never really gotten over it.
I didn't know you did a commentary track. That's cool. Just like, how did you do that? Was it just like an audio track that you're just like, all right, sync up now, and then people watch the movie? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I've done a couple now. I did one for David Fincher's The Killer, and I did one for the Titanic. It's only movies that I've watched a bunch of times, either a bunch of times or I'm really passionate about the subject matter. Because I really love the Titanic. That's like the nerdy thing that I love, is just like ocean liners. So I love like all the weird details that they put into the Titanic and how historically accurate it is. So like half that commentary track isn't even me talking about the movie. It's like, this was accurate, that's not. James Cameron sucked at this, but this was good. So yeah, I think it's fun though. I love doing the commentary tracks. I think they're a blast.
Yeah,
that's cool. I need to check that out.
Yeah.
So this next question is kind of like, more of an art and commerce question, like, because I mean, me, Nick, and Ethan, we talk about this more personally. I don't know how much we brought it up on the podcast, but it's like, for me and all of us, the just the lifestyle of a professional content creator on YouTube is something that I think we all aspire to. Like, it's just not having to deal with a shitty job or a fucking boss that you hate or whatever, and just being able to make videos on your own time and make money doing that, make livable money doing that. Is that something that you really aspire to as well? Is that something you want in your life?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, it's become less of a priority for me over the past year or so, but it is still something I would love to do. I think this is something I really like doing. And I mean, I view it more as a stepping stone for other things, like either becoming an actual filmmaker or meeting cool people like you guys. I think it's a really good platform for what I like doing and for what I would like to do on the side. So it's become less of a priority because I have so much going on in my life right now, where I'm working at a car dealership, managing social media. I'm working with athletes, doing NIL stuff. Like I have a podcast I'm producing for one of my friends and his friends that are on like the Utah Hockey Club. So I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff that YouTube has helped me get to. And I'm very appreciative of YouTube for that. Because it's like I said earlier, the grind of getting slightly better every day or every video has helped me or put me in positions where I can have cool opportunities. And I would love to still be a content creator. I think that's still the main goal, but it's put me in positions where I can do cool things outside of that too.
So you actually got work through the YouTube channel. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't want to talk about that, you don't have to say anything specific, but I would be curious just for my own life. Like, how did that happen?
I can talk about it. It's fine. Like, so I did it for years before anything happened, but I think it was that slow buildup of like, I got slightly better at things. And then people around me started to notice, or people at, like, I worked at Murdoch Hyundai in Linden for a long time in Utah. And I was just doing used car photography for 5-6 years. And I liked the job. It was nice. It was a consistent grind, paid pretty well. And then there's a guy there that did media marketing, and he was like, hey, you're really talented at photography. You can do video. I've seen your YouTube stuff. I'd like to start a podcast. I know all these people on this hockey club team, the Utah Jazz, BYU football, Utah football. We want you to be a part of this. And I was like, great, I love it. So now I just do a whole bunch of stuff that wears away my day and I don't have a lot of time for YouTube anymore, but I still try to make time because I love it. But yeah, it's all because I just did this consistently enough.
That's really
That's
cool,
cool.
man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so next question is like a lot of YouTubers, especially in the early days. I mean, I know you've been doing this for a while now, but like in the early days, I think YouTubers get either like analysis paralysis or kind of like debilitating perfectionism that prevents them from uploading a video at all, especially like the first video. That's when it really manifests. But like when you were first toying around with the idea of starting your channel to begin with, did it take you a while to actually step over that hump and be like, all right, I'm a YouTuber, I'm putting out my first video?
Yeah, it did. Because I mean, when I first started, like you said, it's been so long. When I first started, being a YouTuber was not cool. Like it was the polar opposite of, and I don't even know if it's cool now. I mean, I tell people and they give me weird looks still. But like when I first started, it was like borderline embarrassing to do it. So it took me a while to first put out a video. I think I was like, okay, I had videos. I made like backyard movies with my friends and I posted those because I just didn't care. But when it was actually me, it took me a minute, probably a couple of weeks to actually upload it. And I didn't tell anybody. I put it up. I didn't tell anybody on my channel. And then I started doing that kind of in secret, like incognito. And then over time, people noticed that I was taking time doing that stuff. And I eventually just had to come clean. Yeah, I'm doing YouTube. And they all gave me a bunch of shit for it. But, it's fine. It was fun. So it worked out.
Dude, that's so funny. We were literally just talking about this last week. Like, is being a YouTuber? I don't think any of us actually think it's cringe. I think it's really cool. But I think
so too.
Yeah,
I think there's a perception of it, of certain people when you talk to them. I got responses like you're describing now. People are just like,
I think
oh,
there are.
didn't realize
I
I'm
think it
talking
is a
to a
vibe.
YouTuber.
I think it is a vibe you can catch off people to like know whether they're the type of person you should tell about it or not. Definitely.
Yes, I agree. There are certain people where if you say something, they're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
There was when I was in high school, I don't remember what prompted this, but one of the kids in my I think it was my history class, our teacher was asking about like what professions we're all going to pursue, and the one kid at my table, I think I was about 16. He stood up and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a YouTuber, and that's gonna I think he said a Halo YouTuber, and then that's gonna transition into like getting into filmmaking or working on television or something." And I was like, I could just feel the tension in the room when he was like, "I'm gonna be a Halo YouTuber." It's like a room full of like 40 people. There's always that little in the back of our heads, I'm never going to go into a room and be like, hey, YouTuber here. But I respect his confidence now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting to the age where like I don't judge, or I don't like feel that's judgment from other people as much. Like I don't really put as much credence to what other people think anymore.
It definitely was like, I remember it being maybe like a Boomer Fox News talking point where I was seeing like poll results that were like, oh, 40% of Gen Alpha wants to be a YouTuber or like a content creator, like,
yeah, it's crazy. I have people all the time come and ask me how I do it, but they're like all weird and secretive about it. They'll come ask me and then like close the door. It's weird.
Hey, can I talk to you?
Literally, yeah. They're like, hey, close this door. How do I be a YouTuber? How do I start doing a gaming channel? I'm like, bro, you just got to put up a video. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Once you post your first video, the weight off your shoulders is lifted.
Oh yeah.
And then you're like, well, I made my first one's always going to be my worst one, so I'm just going to keep going now.
For me, it was after I got my first few hate comments, and then I was like, okay, I can deal with this.
Those always got to me.
You said that you wanted to like kind of build this into something else eventually, like filmmaking. Like what would your like great end goal be? Like the perfect end goal for you?
For a long time it was directing, but now that I've kind of got this lifestyle where I'm doing a lot, I've realized that I don't really like directing. I kind of enjoy more behind the scenes stuff. I like writing a lot is what I've learned. So I've decided to buckle down and just try writing scripts. And I really enjoy doing that. I really enjoy kind of just being a part of things without actually having to control it all. I don't love the control aspect, but I love the writing aspect. So I've been trying to write stuff. My first script I wrote was a Friday the 13th script. So
nice.
It's just a good place to start.
And yeah, actually we had this conversation a couple months ago, I think at this point, but we were talking about how, Chris Stuckman, not to bring up the meme, but Chris Stuckman, you know, still is a movie reviewer that's been doing it for a long time, but now he's making his own movie. And like it's always been kind of weird for me, or I imagine like putting myself in someone who is critiquing other people's work for so long and now stepping into the arena and be like, all right, well now, you know, everyone, here's my thing. I feel like that's like a difficult position to be put in.
It's dangerous almost.
Yeah, it's like I personally feel like people almost want to see that movie fail because it's like, oh, you picked apart my shit or you pick apart everyone else's shit and made a lot of money doing it, like we're gonna pick apart your shit now. Like I think people get kind of vicarious thrill out of doing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. It's a difficult thing to put yourself out there in any aspect, but especially like and his channel he had the like hilariosity reviews where he would really bag on stuff. So that's difficult. That's actually something I've tried to get out of, because for a long time I had a string of videos that are still doing well that were just, this movie sucks. And it did well for clickbait, but I got some serious hate for them. And to this day, I can't live them down. So I've kind of tried to get away from that myself, because I don't think it's super helpful. I think you can be critical, but I don't think you can be mean. If you're mean, then people want to see you fail. So it's a fine line to balance.
Yeah. You say that as I'm currently writing my script for why the Monster Hunter movie sucks.
That's a terrible movie. That's a really terrible movie.
I even go into it, I'm like, okay, listen, the sucks is for the title. That's just for the YouTube clicks. Everything else, I'm being fair.
That's fair.
It sucks for me because like it sucks even more whenever you're going against something that like the majority of people like too. Like the Boys video was rough. People came at me hard with that
and
video.
You got it. You did it too early. You were ahead of your time, because now everyone's really mad.
Now everybody hates it.
Everyone hates it now, yeah.
So you were just a bit too early, buddy. Sorry.
You're the Nostradamus of the Boys, dude. You saw it.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, so another question, like one of the biggest struggles I have with YouTube is like niche, you know, because I feel like I don't know if you guys do, but I peruse these like YouTuber subreddits a lot because I just want to take in a lot of different advice and information from people who've been doing this for longer than I have. And one of the biggest talking points you see is like, especially in the beginning, it's really important to like choose a niche that's not too saturated, that you feel like you can add something really new and interesting and engaging to the conversation with. And like the concept of straying from that niche can be detrimental to your channel. Although like for me, it's been really difficult to stick to one thing. Like I've mostly do media analysis, but I've also done I do like little comedy skits sometimes. I talk about like spooky true crime things every once in a while. Like have you had a difficulties? I mean, you mentioned it before a little bit. You've tried a little bit of everything, or were there different channels?
Yeah, I had 3 different channels. I mean, I had more channels, but I actually initially the Rendan Lovell channel I'm still using for movies was actually meant to be like an umbrella channel where I could just do whatever I wanted under my name. So initially, like I think I made my sketch channel was like Ren Cat, and then it was Ren Cat Games. So it had like this very segmented, this is what this channel is, this is what it's for. And I made this channel because I was like, I don't know where to put these movie reviews. They don't really fit with these other ones. So I'll put them here. And then I actually made some vlogs way back in the day. I made some just like these weird I'll just do this, kind of like influencer type things. So yeah, I've always thought about that. I've always kind of wanted to do other things and struggled not to do other things. But I don't know, YouTube's weird because you hear that all the time. You're right. Whereas you have to stick to a niche, you have to pick a niche. But I mean, the movie niche is completely oversaturated, but people can still find a lot of success. I mean, I still see people coming up all the time, and I think you guys are going to blow by me. You're already doing way better than I am. So I think even in an oversaturated niche, people can still do well if they're doing something interesting. And it doesn't even have to be anything new particularly. It just is like, if you have an interesting voice or an interesting way of communicating your voice, I think you'll find success.
Yeah.
I feel like niche.
Thank you. Also, thank you for saying that, by the way. You
guys are doing great. Your channels are actually way better than mine are. Way better than. I mean, you guys are like 20, 40 videos in. I'm at like 400. You guys are doing way better than me.
Well,
yeah, but there's a certain. We all have things we're good at. That's the thing. Like I think all of us can probably look at your content and see something in it that we're like, I wish we could fucking do that. Yeah. I think that's the same. I think it's the same with anybody. You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
You have a great breakneck. I watched your challengers video. I think you have a really great breakneck pace of editing, of not wasting any time and just getting down to it, and also
Yeah.
just you got a lot of energy in your videos, and that's really
appreciate that.
felt in the final edit, and I really liked that. That was a great video, by the way.
Thank you. I love that movie, and I'm very sad that it didn't get any Academy Award
Yeah, me
nominations.
too.
But
No
we'll talk about
score.
that later.
Anyway,
See, like for me, I'm basically just Krisha in my own life. I'm like the 30-year-old male Krisha, so it's hard for me to have that breakneck pace. But I'm just
Yeah, that's fair. I tried to bring it about simply because of that Suicide Squad video. I watched that video and I'm like, my God, this is the slowest pace, most boring thing I've ever seen. So I've got to try and infuse this with some energy if I'm going to be this boring.
yeah, maybe you were emulating the Suicide Squad's editing, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Slow and
yeah. That movie sucks.
No, but I mean,
I heard
did you guys watch the Suicide Squad video, the first one? I mean,
No, I
it's very.
didn't. I
I
don't
wouldn't be
think so.
surprised if you didn't. It's his very first one, but
Yeah, it's way back there.
So I initially found Rendan through his Silver Lake video. That was whenever he actually showed up on my homepage. Like, how long was that? Like 6-7 years ago.
Let's go. Yeah, it was a while ago.
And I subscribed to him then, and so his videos have been on my feed for like 6-7 years now.
Okay.
Let's go.
So I've watched him here and there. But yeah, that was the first one I saw.
I love that. That's one I still get comments on all the time too. That's like the one that everybody says is what introduced them to me, which is cool. And it's cool that it came from a movie like that because I love that movie too. So, and not from Suicide Squad, because if people were sticking around from that video, I'd question them and their sanity.
I think there's a nice thing where I'd say for pretty much all of us, our first videos did not blow up, which I think is a good thing, because a lot of people I see make one video that ends up getting like 500, 600,000 views, and they're like, what the hell? I don't know what I'm doing. And then you have all these people now watching you as you're trying to figure things out, where not a ton of people are watching me right now while I'm figuring things out, you know? So I have room to grow.
Yeah, it's funny. That very first video for me, it did feel like it blew up. It got like 2,000 views in a week.
Yeah, that's a lot when you're
for a channel with literally 0 subscribers. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And I think it was actually the most detrimental thing that happened in my entire YouTube career is that video did semi okay. Because I was like, I need to emulate this because this is what's doing well. And so I just kept doing it, and it was the worst thing that happened to me. I was literally just doing that for like a year, and they all are awful.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't prepare a question like this, but I think that this is a good topic for us all to consider for a second. It's like, I always struggle between trying to do exactly what you said, like looking at the videos that I've posted that did really well, and when I'm trying to come up with new ideas, I'm like, how can I do something that's like that but a little bit different or whatever? And also trying to keep in mind, like, how do I serve the subscribers that I got from that video who might not be interested in this video? You know, it's like you're doing all these mental gymnastics with yourself, but like ultimately, I feel like you have to just put faith in yourself and be like, these people subscribe for me, I get, hopefully, you know, or maybe they just subscribe for the topic, who the fuck knows. But you have to hope that they subscribe for you, and they'll be interested to see things that you're talking about that are also interesting, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really eloquent way to put it. I think as I kind of dove into what made YouTube, or like what makes the algorithm tick, I had like a stint where I was just every day was just like figuring out analytics. And I think what's interesting is like the YouTube search and YouTube home is so different with its algorithms. And I found that with that first video, it was all search based. So people were literally just searching Suicide Squad sucks. And then my video would come up, and they'd have this pimply kid that was awful on camera. And they were like, okay, we'll watch the video specifically because I want to hear that opinion from someone else. So, and for over the years, I'm like, okay, do I want that where people are just looking for the content of what they want to hear? Or do I want them to know and understand me and my personality? So over the years, I think I've kind of like moved the boat a little bit over to, I would like it to be more of my personality, more of my voice, rather than this very specific opinion about something. So that's something I think that's interesting to think about too with YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't. That's why I don't think the niche matters that much, because I think the reason people stick around is because they like you in general, and that's on almost any channel. I think there's probably some exceptions that are like very, very informational, but I feel like most channels, it's just they watch because they like the person.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Then you have there was some famous prank channel back when prank channels were the biggest thing in the world, where they were doing that, and then their views started dwindling, so they hard hand crank turned into being a Spider-Man Elsa video YouTube, like straight up. Just
that was a dark time
I
on
don't know
YouTube.
what channel that was, but it was
SoFlo
really
Antonio. I think
SoFlo.
the fans were just like,
that was
"What
dark.
is happening?"
Yeah, that was a dark time. I mean, you can change niches too. I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, I mentioned PewDiePie earlier, but his career is really interesting to watch because he went from the biggest gaming YouTuber and now he does like purely reaction based stuff. So yeah, I mean, he's following the trends. He's just following the fads and what he's interested in.
I think now he just makes those videos where this is my wife and my son.
Right. Yeah. It's like vlog style almost. Yeah. I mean, you can change. I think people are just more interested in him than the content at this point. So.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest creators on the platform have changed, but also, I mean, just the platform itself has changed so much. Just from when I started watching YouTube, I mean, when I started watching YouTube, it was basically just like grainy skateboarding videos and like chubby atheist guys yelling at screens, doing like a million response threads to each other. You know, that was like a huge thing too. But you know,
it's a throwback.
I because you've been on the platform for longer than any of us. I mean, like, how do you feel about the increasing industrialization of the concept of the YouTube channel? You know what I mean? It's like now you'll see, especially in our space and like doing video essays and media analysis, there are these challenges. I'm not going to call anyone out specifically, but I'm sure a lot of you can think of.
I know you're talking about me.
No, I'm talking about like, you know, people like Moon, for instance. You guys know that channel?
Yes.
No.
It feels AI generated. Same with that one video essay guy. Voice crack. Yeah, there's a few of them where it feels like they put out a video essay per week and it almost feels AI generated on whatever hot topic on Twitter is going on.
Well, I mean, I'm not even to make like a quality judgment on the content. It's just like, it's so clear that it's a, you know, they're able to put out so many extremely highly produced videos in a short span of time because they have so many people working on it. Like there's a lot of money to be made in this space if you're doing it, which is why it's really good that H-Bomber guy made that plagiarism video to, you know, expose some of those really bad practices of people just being like, oh, you make $50,000 if I just steal from this article over here and, you know, make a video essay about it or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, so how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about your own place in YouTube or on YouTube as opposed to these really big industrialized channels? Like, do you think about that or worry about that?
Yeah, I honestly a lot. I mean, like we've been talking about, we've kind of lived through the rise of social media, and I mean, I've seen it in other social media channels too, like on Twitter. I'm literally watching channels crop up that are just putting out clips from movies, and that's it. They just put out like 3-minute clips of movies, and they say this is crazy, and I like it's a little scary because like if that can happen to the biggest studios, biggest projects, it could happen to anyone, and it can happen to anything at any time. So it's a little scary to see. I mean, I've always been a little critical of like the Watch Mojo guys because they kind of have that a little bit where it's just like, here's a top 10 of whatever for today. And they put out a video every single day because there's just money to be made. And it's completely soulless. So, I mean, it's fine. Like, it doesn't really affect me or ruin my day or anything if Watch Mojo puts out a video. But I personally much prefer stuff like you guys are making or stuff that maybe a little bit smaller channels are making that are just filled with like personality and life and energy. I think that's so much more interesting than soulless AI video essays about summary of something. I don't care. And I hope most people don't either, but clearly there is a market for it and I don't understand it.
That's the crazy part, is just how many views you see people in on those things. Because I personally would never watch some shit like that, but like there's so many people that do. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird time. It's a weird time.
This is sort of adjacent topic. Have you guys seen the rise of AI trailers that get crazy amounts of views on YouTube?
Yeah,
it's just slop where they'll be like, "Did you guys?" It's for boomers to repost on Facebook. Go, did you guys hear they're making Forrest Gump 2?
Yeah,
and it's they made a Popeye movie with Will Smith. Love the trailer, and it's horrible.
You see, they actually did make a Popeye movie though. like a year ago, and
did they?
it looks hilarious. I think it's public domain now. It's one of those public domain like slot
Oh, is it like
movies.
a horror movie?
Oh wow,
Oh,
It, yeah,
the
it
Winnie
looks,
the
it
Pooh.
looks hilarious. I need to watch it.
it's like
I
the
think the
Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Speaking of Titanic, I think Titanic 2 is the most popular one, where there's like
Hey,
we cloned Jack after he was like a frozen Jacksicle at the bottom of the ocean or whatever.
now that sounds like a good movie.
Well,
See, if it's done with comedic intent, then I'll give it a pass.
Sure.
if you guys don't have any, I have 3 pretty like rapid fire questions for Rendan, and then we could start
All right.
talking about the
Shoot.
Oscars or whatever. So,
Ready.
favorite director of the 21st century?
Oh wow, that's a little bit harder of a question to answer.
No, rapid fire.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I think I'll say Denis Villeneuve, even though I didn't really.
Hell
love,
yeah.
I didn't love Dune Part 2. That's a personal thing, but I really loved so much of his work in the 21st century. I think he had like 5 years in a row where it was just like banger after banger after banger. Like Prisoners is fantastic. Enemy is fantastic. All Blade Runner 2049 is like one of my favorite movies. So I'd probably say him.
Wait, so do you like
Speaking my
Dune
language.
Part 1 more than Dune Part 2?
I'm weird. Yeah, I
Wow.
loved Dune Part 1.
That's-
Loved it.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard that take. I love both of them. I love Dune 2 more though. I think that's the more
I
more
think
people
that
like
I think that's the more general consensus is that Dune
Yeah.
2 is better. I really love the pace of Dune 1 though. I think Dune Part 1 is so like methodically paced. It lingers on shots and creates this world that I find so much more interesting than the action-packed, crazy breakneck pace of Dune 2. Like immediately I saw it, I got to see it like a week early in this packed theater, and everybody was loving it, and I was like, I can't even understand what's happening in the first 20 minutes. Like it is so breakneck paced. I was losing my mind. I felt like I was going insane.
Yeah.
But they do really rush through plot points in those movies, considering how long they are.
Yeah, and the book's very dense, so it's understandable.
Okay, so favorite millennial actor?
That's so specific.
Oh man.
I guess what would that be? Let's give him an age range because I think that would be actors that are older than like 27 and younger than like 42.
Okay. Oh man, that is such a specific question.
That's so specific.
Let's see. Who would I really like that is in that age?
I mean, popular ones would be like Adam Driver. I think a lot of people.
Yeah,
would
He's a
say.
great actor.
Barry
He's a
Florence
Kogan
too.
is another one. Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I my first thought was actually Ryan Gosling, just because of Blade Runner. But yeah, I'll go with Ryan Gosling. I think he has interesting range.
All right, cool. So, and then last one, favorite film studio.
Oh.
Ooh, that's interesting. I'm gonna go with Neon right now.
Hmm.
Either Neon or Orion.
Yeah, good choices.
Neon's
Yeah,
got
Neon's
2
a great
Oscars
pick.
recently,
That's true.
Yeah.
Best Pictures.
And speaking
That's
of the
good.
Oscars, let's talk about
Are we
it for
going?
a second.
Are we doing Oscars? Or are we going into Krisha first?
Let's talk.
Let's
Let's.
talk Krisha first.
No, I mean,
Okay, we'll do Oscars. We'll do Oscars.
we had the
It's fine.
perfect
All right.
Oscars
It was a perfect
transition,
segue.
and you guys are like, no, fuck the transition.
I have the Oscars list pulled up. I'm gonna not include like talk about short films because I don't think any of us have seen any of those.
I didn't even watch the documentaries, I'll be honest.
Yeah, same. So I'm just gonna go from order when they were presented. I hope this list is accurate because I don't know about you guys, but I did not watch this. I saw a list after the show.
I
I
watched them. Yeah,
love
I,
watching
I think everyone watched them,
I
but
suffered. I
Okay.
partially watched the On Cinema at the Cinema Oscar special too, which was fun.
Nice.
was it better with Conan hosting this year?
Yeah.
I was mixed about. Honestly, I was mixed about Conan. I wasn't that crazy about some of the. I love Conan. It wasn't his greatest night. Actually,
No, I
I kind
It
of
agree.
seems
prefer
like
Kimmel.
he actually had fun.
Hmm,
Wait, you said you
interesting.
prefer Kimmel?
That is
Yeah.
interesting.
I prefer Kimmel as not as like a person or a late night host, even, but as a host of this event.
Kimmel's so soulless these days, though.
Maybe it's
It
because
doesn't
Kimmel
feel
has
like he's
much
genuine.
experience doing it. I mean, my favorite one is Gervais, just because he fucking roasts
That was Golden
those
Globes, right?
people.
I
know,
think
I'm
he's
saying,
due
like-
Golden Globes.
I know.
Yeah,
he
he's good.
just does these things so well.
Host ever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, let's get straight into best visual effects with the goat Dune Part
Dune
2
Part
taking the
2.
win, which I think is a very well deserved win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't
For
argue
sure.
it.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
agree. It looks amazing.
Yeah. man, I just think that whole gladiator scene, that alone, man.
Yeah, pretty fantastic visually.
Yeah, and if I'll just kind of go through here unless you guys have anything more to say. I'm just gonna kind of go through the list. And then we'll move on to best production design with Wicked winning. Did anyone here see Wicked besides me?
I saw it.
I didn't
Thoughts?
see it.
I was bored senseless. I saw that one like a week early too with a packed crowd, and they were literally singing along, and I did not know what was happening. It was horrible.
That's the worst first experience.
The
man.
worst thing about Wicked. No, go on.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I think the worst thing about Wicked is that the production design is genuinely good, but you can't see it. I don't know what's his name, John M. Chu, the director. I don't know what he was thinking. It's one of the most bland, boring looking movies you could possibly imagine with some of the coolest production design. Like they actually built the Munchkin houses, and I didn't get to see any of them.
And they planted like thousands and thousands of fields of flowers too.
Yeah. What was he thinking?
Yeah, I do not know.
I think if Dune wasn't a sequel, it would have won. If we're being honest.
You think that has a lot to do with it? Being a sequel?
Yeah, because they don't have to create as much from scratch, and I feel like they give them a lot less credit.
Yeah, that's why Hans Zimmer didn't get nominated.
Yeah, they were disqualified because they had to reuse parts of the score, or they did reuse parts of the score.
Yep.
I was actually looking this up because a lot of comparisons are always made between Lord of the Rings and Dune. And I looked up, I was like, okay, so Dune as a total has 8 Oscars under its belt. How much does it need to beat Lord of the Rings? And then I looked up how many that Return of the King has. It's got a total for the entire trilogy, 17 Oscars, which is absurd because Return of the King won 11, which I think is the current record for most Oscars given to a single film. So there's no chance unless Dune Messiah is like revolutionary.
I don't know
the industry or something.
That book is crazy weird. So I don't know.
That's a weird pick. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to best sound, we have Dune Part 2 again, which that's a deserved one for me.
Yep, I'm on board.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about that one. Best editing, I am not finished with this movie, but Anora has won.
Oh, let's go!
Edited by Sean Baker, the director himself.
Anora rules.
So happy.
Yeah,
I saw that you had Anora in your top 4, Rendan.
It was my number 2 for last year. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in love with it. I think Challengers is more rewatchable, but just slightly, because like Anora is a great mix of like Wolf of Wall Street and then like the Three Stooges. It's so weird, and I love it. It's great.
I wasn't super big on Challengers, but I will say the editing was really, really good in it.
Oh man, dude, I can talk for hours about Challengers. I'm in love with it.
All right, moving on to best costume design. It goes to Wicked. This beat out Nosferatu, which was the one I was a bit hoping it would get something. But
Nosferatu's great, but Wicked had more loud costumes, which they tend to
there were
like.
bigger costumes.
I was thinking that Nosferatu had a small chance to win, almost like a legacy win for Jaron Blaschke for cinematography. Not that we're at cinematography yet, but I feel like just the Eggers movies have looked so consistently good for so long. I felt like maybe they would give it to him, but no. He'll get it eventually.
The same cinematographer for each of Eggers movies?
Yeah.
It has? Oh, wow. Wow, they must be real good friends.
He's still a young guy, so I feel like they take that into account too. He's going to make more good movies.
Yeah.
And moving on to best makeup and hairstyling, we have The Substance taking the win, which is absolutely deserved. I don't know if you've seen it, Rendan, but okay, you have.
Yep.
I think Nick is the only one that hasn't seen it.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it.
I love
so good.
I love it.
It's really so good.
One of the most fun I've had in a theater in a long time.
That was one of the most gross movies I've ever seen. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, it was great. It's perfect. It's such a great movie.
Yeah. All right. Moving over to best original score. I have not seen The Brutalist, and I don't know how many of us have, but that took away the best score. What do you think about The Brutalist?
The score's great. I think I kind of have similar thoughts of The Brutalist to like a Dune Part 2 movie, which is weird because they're so vastly different, but I think it's visually and technically amazing. Like it looks great. The performances are great. Everything is great. It sounds great. Everything. They shot on VistaVision, which is cool. But I found it intensely distant. Like I just could not relate or connect to it in any way, shape, or form. I liked it. I liked the story. I think it's interesting, and it has some interesting things to say about legacy and building a life in a place where people just do not want you there. I think that's a really interesting thematic and something that's probably is very important, but it just didn't work for me. I don't know. I think partially it's because it's, pushing 4 hours long, and the first part and the second part they feel so different because there's an intermission, a 15-minute long intermission, and it almost literally feels like a different movie, which was very weird to me. So, and could be a bad state of mind too. I don't know, but it just didn't really work for me. Visually,
would you go so far as to say it's Oscar bait?
Yeah, no, almost. I think Conclave was Oscar bait. I did not like that movie.
I liked Conclave a lot.
Okay, all right. Good. So we're different on that one, but I thought Conclave was closer to Oscar bait, and A Complete Unknown is almost the definition of Oscar bait.
Oh no, Nick really likes that one.
I did not like that movie, but
I don't really like that. Did I say I really liked it?
I thought you liked it.
No, I think you said you liked it because you're a big fan of Bob Dylan. You appreciate
Bob Dylan.
Yeah, I enjoyed it well enough. I wouldn't go to bat for it really though.
No, I mean I love the music because I love Bob Dylan, but man, I did not have fun with it.
Yeah.
Did you see Nick's video just making fun of it? And it was pretty fucking funny.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
He did a little skit making fun of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I made a little skit making fun of how everyone there's like endless reaction shots of people just being so wowed of Timothée Chalamet, like,
My favorite line from that I think about all the time is like when he's trying to pull the audio out and they're like, "Open your ears." I say that all the time. Just open your ears, dude.
All right. Transitioning to Best Original Song, we have probably the most controversial film of the entire night. Emilia Perez winning for El Mal for Best Original Song.
That wasn't the best song of the both of them that were played.
Don't say Penis Vagina is the best.
I was listening to the other one, Mi Camino, the Selena Gomez
way
one,
better.
was considerably not great, but considerably better than that. I just don't know what these people are thinking, especially all the controversy around this movie. Like, why the fuck did the Oscars even vote for it? I don't understand.
Yeah, the movie's a shit show. I mean, to be fair, the best original song category this year was very weak. So, compared to last year where we had like actual hits, this was very, very weak. But not good. I didn't like it.
Also, one of the worst. You watched, right? The acceptance speech when she's like, Amelia.
Yeah,
she's singing.
Yeah, I had to walk away when she started singing. I left.
Yeah. It was horrible.
I didn't watch the Oscars, but it was on Hulu. So I just I think before I was going to bed, I flipped on. I was like, oh, what are they up to right now? I flipped it to the Oscars and I just see this woman going, Amelia.
Turn it off.
And it went on for so long. And my wife was like, what are you watching?
And then the guy next to her starts singing, Amelia.
She also said, I forgot what she said, but she said some pretty unhinged shit about the movie after in an interview. I forgot what it was. She was talking about how because everybody was talking about how they were offended, like their culture was offended, and she's like, I don't even see this as a Mexican movie or some shit like that.
Yikes!
Emilia Perez.
The movie.
All right, going over to Best Animated Feature Film, which is the
I haven't watched
winner
Flow.
being Flow.
Yeah, Flow was good.
Which I have not seen.
It's a solid one. I liked it.
Yeah.
I started it the other night and fell asleep, but it looks really nice, and it seemed pretty cool.
I did. Yeah. It's a good sleep movie because it's just kind of ambience.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, and it has
a cozy type film.
Yes, yeah. It has a message about everybody's in the same boat, so let's be nice, which is fine. But
it kind of seemed like that movie Stray, or that game Stray, but in movie form, right?
Yeah, similar vibe. Yeah.
Isn't it the one that the movie was created entirely in Blender, right?
I think so. Yeah, which is cool. Yeah, it's a cool movie. Definitely.
That's cool. The only other one I saw was Inside Out 2, and I'm glad that didn't win. So
yeah, it sucks.
But... All right.
I saw Inside Out 2.
Skipping over the short films. No offense, short films. Best original screenplay. We got Anora.
Let's go. I didn't think it was this one.
This is when so we were in our group chat talking, and as soon as the Anora stuff started coming in, I think it was when it won Best Director, which we'll get to. I was like, Anora's taking it, and I don't know if you were behind Nick, but you were like, no, I think Brutalist got it.
Because I was saying all of those awards, especially original screenplay and director, a lot of years those are the runner-up awards. So I was thinking like maybe that they'll get the, unless it's like an Oppenheimer or Return of the King thing where it's a sweep, which it wasn't that kind of year. So I felt like it was more of a runner-up award year.
I feel like it's usually whoever wins Best Director wins the Best Picture more often than not.
I think so.
I feel like the last 5 years it's been pretty consistent.
I don't think, like, thinking of like the actual scripts that were up, I don't think there's really an argument for any, there's not an argument for any of the other movies, really. Like,
no.
The Substance was a cool one. I think Anora is the better screenplay, though.
I agree, and Substance is great. I mean, there's a lot of really solid screenplays there, but I thought Brutalist was going to be like sweep up everything. I was so cynical towards it, but once Anora won this, I was like, okay, this is good. We got some momentum behind Anora.
Yeah,
and I just gotta say, I really appreciate Sean Baker as like just the dude. You know, his acceptance speeches were so humble, and he was like so congratulatory of the larger independent film community. He just seems like a genuinely really cool, unpretentious guy, and I think it's really great that he won. You know,
I think he should have won Best Picture for Florida Project. Personally,
I love Florida
I agree.
Project.
Yeah, I'm a Sean Baker meat writer. I love everything he does.
Yeah, he hasn't made a movie that I've even kind of been on the fence about.
No, yeah, love it. Love him. Great dude, seems like.
All right. We're going to Best Adapted Screenplay, which is what everyone's saying is the Oscar bait winner, Conclave. I think everyone kind of predicted that this would win.
I watched the trailer and I was just like, I cannot, like, I can't. It's like Holdovers Part 2. Like, I just can't watch it.
But you didn't like Holdovers either?
It was fine, but it was Oscar bait. Like, it was genuinely like the epitome of Oscar bait.
I enjoyed Holdovers, but I see what you're saying.
I feel like to be an Oscar bait movie, or at least in my perception of it, it has to be kind of joyless. Like it's like, you know, it's like this like dramatic movie about a hot button issue, like Amelia Perez or something.
Like Don't Look Up.
Yeah,
like, think about
something like that.
But think about if they cast anyone but fucking Paul Giamatti. That movie would have been soulless.
I mean, I don't know. I think what was his name? Dominic Sessa. I thought he's like he's a pretty vibrant dude. He's a vibrant.
He's
performer.
pretty good. It just felt very like I know I hate this term, but like it did feel sort of like emotionally manipulative. Like it did feel like it was very much like trying to like pull my heartstrings intentionally, like at specific beats. You know what I mean?
Come to think of it, I do hate that term because fucking that's what movies do. They manipulate your emotions if they're doing their job.
But I hate whenever it feels like
feels disingenuous.
I don't know. Yeah, if it feels disingenuous.
Yeah,
I hate that. I hate that term generally too. I hate using it. But
it's just I'm always on the fence with that term. But like, because I just went to a Hans Zimmer string quartet concert over the weekend.
Oh, nice.
Where they played a lot of his like greatest hits, and they started playing This Land from Lion King, and I'm not even crying, dude. Like 5 seconds in, I'm starting to cry. I was like, damn,
crying, dude.
I was like, I'm not even crying. They barely even touched the bow to the strings. Yeah, it was. I was like, man, I am absolutely being manipulated, but whatever.
Oh yeah, music's a big one too. Like I haven't. I think of anything from Howard Shore, and I'm like, woo!
No, but just to defend Conclave for a second, I don't know if Ethan and Nick have even seen it, but I mean, I just think it's really cool. It's a really tightly contained political thriller set in a pretty unusual setting with a cast of characters that you're not usually used to being like dropped into the middle of like a election for Pope, like a conclave or whatever. It's a pretty cool thing to see. Also, Conan made mention of it last night. It's cool to see, not that I'm like a Catholic or a defender of the Catholic Church in any way. It was like he made a joke about it, like it's about the Catholic Church and you don't have to worry, it's not about that other stuff, you know. Like that was a kind of cool thing too. I don't know.
Yeah,
jab at it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think
it's an okay movie. I didn't really resonate with it personally. I mean, growing up in Utah is probably part of it because this is a very predominantly Mormon culture. There's a lot of Catholic culture here too, but I think going into that, I was interested in it. I think specifically because I wanted to like learn about it more, and it was more, like you said, a political thriller than it was like a Catholic movie, which is weird to say, but I wanted to get more out of the tradition of it. I wanted to get more out of like how it is there. And it was like, you have a secret. I'm going to tell. No, I won't. You can't be Pope. Oh, you have a secret too. You can't be Pope. And I was like, all right.
Well,
I'm done.
I kind of like that because it's like just to show you that these, they're supposed, or if you take religion at its word or whatever, they're supposed to be above all of that, but they're clearly not. And I kind of like that just on the face of it too.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept for sure, especially because it's set in one confined location. I think that's the best part about it, where it's just like all of this stuff boils to the surface. Yeah, exactly. It's like Cube without the horror, but it's like, I don't know. It just, something about it just didn't click for me. And that's probably why I say it's Oscar bait, because it's like a lot of old people standing in rooms talking about their secrets. I was like, okay, like I get it. They've got secrets and it's part of, they shouldn't, but yeah, it's a great looking movie and I love the score for it. So
true.
It's fine.
I'll also say, like, ever since I've seen Doubt, I just avoid movies about Catholic priests.
I still need to see that.
So that might be part of why I haven't watched it.
Have any of us seen the Best International Feature winner?
No, it just came to Utah like a week ago, so I haven't been able to.
I just saw that it just got a release like very recently, so I haven't been able to catch it. But I'm Still Here was the winner.
It looks really good.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. I've heard really good things. Transferring over to Best Cinematography, we have The Brutalist, which snubbed Nosferatu and Dune Part 2.
I mean, Brutalist is a great looking movie. I'm okay with that one. I was a little weirded out that Nickel Boys didn't get a nomination here, though.
Yeah, that's the entire film. I haven't seen it yet, but that entire film is a POV film, right?
Yeah, it switches POV really cool. between the two main characters, which is really interesting, and it still looks great. That's the like the revelation of it, is that it's POV that manages to still like have interesting compositions. So I thought it was really great.
I saw that the director had to essentially teach the actors how to be camera operators while filming and acting.
Yeah,
that's cool. Crazy.
It's crazy. It's a really cool movie. I'm not personally like over the moon about it, but it's very cool.
Yeah,
it's been on my watch list. I need to watch it soon.
Yeah, check it out for sure.
All right, moving on to Best Director, we've got Sean Baker.
Well deserved.
That's my guy.
That's a big win for independent filmmakers right there.
For real.
I love that, man.
But Nora was like a budget of $6 million, which is incredibly small.
Yeah.
I mean, which is triple Florida Project's budget. But
well, I mean, he got a lot done with that money, though. He had a lot of locations, and
I mean, a lot of it was clearly filmed just in public with strangers. That's a lot of his films.
That's the thing.
He's running around the street.
He brings in random people to act. So I mean,
I saw people interviewing some of the stunt actors, or what is it called? Stunt casting, right? When you just when he just does stuff like that. I saw them interviewing them on TikTok. They're like, "What is it like to be a movie star?" It's just like the old guy at the candy store, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
"What all right? What's happening here?"
Like, it's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know.
I got to watch that.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. Transition. Okay, we got the big awards now. I guess Best Director was at the beginning of the big awards. All right, another controversial one. We have Zoe Saldana winning Best Supporting Actress in Emilia Perez.
That one's crazy.
Who should have won? You guys think?
The other ones were, I think, so the other ones were Monica Barbaro for Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande in Wicked, Felicity Jones in The Brutalist, and Isabella Rossellini in Conclave. I honestly think Ariana Grande could have won this, and I would have been fine with it, because I think she was genuinely really, really good in Wicked.
I predicted that she would in my ballot.
Yeah, I would have been fine with her. I didn't predict her. I think what's her name? Felicity Jones in The Brutalist is great. I think she's like the perfect Oscar candidate too, where she's giving this really dramatic performance and she's crippled in a wheelchair and she's hobbling around. But I thought she was great in it. And I think what's her name from A Complete Unknown was actually really good too. But Zoe Saldana, I guess that's
this feels like. Does this feel like a legacy win? Because I think she's incredibly talented, but I've seen clips of her in Emilia Perez.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't say that she's.
That's the thing. I've seen like a large portion of this movie through like TikTok reels, and
probably the best way to watch it.
Probably.
I don't think that. It's just weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I sat down and actually watched the whole movie front to back, and I don't even understand the nomination, honestly.
Oh boy!
But is she great though? Like we're saying Zoe Saldana is great, but like
she's genuinely really good in the Avatar films.
The main thing I know her from is the MCU. I can't really think.
Yeah, Guardians
stuff that she's done.
Yeah.
Like she was in that movie, that action movie she did. I watched that. I don't remember.
Lioness.
No, something like that. It's Colombiana.
She's in
I think
Pirates
that
of
was
the
it.
Oh,
Caribbean?
yeah, I've heard
my
of that one.
goodness.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
she was in
But-
Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, for like a tiny.
I don't
role.
think she's a particularly good actress. If like I think I don't know.
What's
I think she
yeah.
could do it. She's given an interesting enough performance, or like a powerful enough performance in Avatar as a blue alien for me to go, okay, she's got what it takes to do something. But I don't think this was the one.
Yeah,
that
I
should
agree
have
with
gotten
that.
it.
I think she can be a very good actress.
Yeah. All right, transitioning to one I have not seen. I don't know about you guys, but Kieran Culkin won Best Actor in a Supporting Role for A Real Pain with Jesse
Yeah.
Eisenberg.
I watched it last night and I really liked it.
Was he good?
He was good. He's always
He's
good.
good.
Now the bedwetter from Home Alone has an Oscar.
I have to say I'm a little bit sad that Jeremy Strong didn't win, and I feel bad for him knowing just the kind of personality he is. I know that he definitely feels the type of way that his little brother co-star on Succession is winning all of these awards, all of the award season, while he just has to sit there and look sullen. Like he's definitely not very happy about it. And he
definitely a
portrayed
really good
Roy
actor.
Cohn amazingly. It was a really, I mean, I love that movie altogether. Apprentice, I thought was great. But he'll get his shine eventually.
That's what I was about to say. I think he'll have his chance.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, Kieran Culkin take real quick. Are any of you guys tired of his like? I don't know, guys. I'm like, I guess I'm up here. It's crazy that I'm up here. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't know. I'm just getting a little bit sick. I liked it at first, and now just chill.
I think
man. I don't know.
Have you seen his
would
Coleman
dislike it.
Domingo interview?
No.
Oh, that one's funny.
It doesn't feel fake. Like I think he's just kind of cringe. Like I think that's just kind of him.
Everyone
I,
loves
so I
it,
kinda-
though.
thing.
So I kind of fuck with it because I just think he's being himself. Like if it was an act, I would think it was kind of cringe. But
I don't think
it is.
people think it's cringe though. I think people are loving it. They're lapping
people
it
like
up
it
though.
a lot.
You know.
Yeah, I never watched Succession, so I don't really.
Same.
I watched A Real Pain, and I was like, okay, that just seems like him, but I don't really have
he was
a good.
He was good in Fargo too.
Oh, is he in the Fargo, the TV show?
Yeah, season 4.
I haven't watched that either. I'm not a big TV show guy, I'll be honest. So
Okay. All right. This one was a bit controversial, and there was a lot of discourse on it online. But Best Actress in a Leading Role went to Mikey Madison for Enora, which the big snub everyone's talking about is Demi Moore for The Substance.
It sucks for Demi Moore, but like, I don't have a problem with this pick personally.
Me neither. I think Mikey Madison was genuinely great. She's now the youngest ever Best Actress winner. I think she's 25, which I think is the current record now. I would have really loved if Demi won, but I'm not upset that Mikey won.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm sitting right now.
It sucks. The reason I feel like it's one of those things where the reason people are upset about Demi Moore is because she's never going to get another chance for an Oscar because she's not a particularly good actress.
I think Nick's right. I think that's the biggest bummer about it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
She's never
I
gonna
think
get
honestly, she could take this, I think, and be like, you know what, this is going to reignite my career. I want to do more weird movies like this. I think she could take it in a way, or maybe she does view it as like, hey, you guys are talking about it, like, well, this is my last chance. I'm going to retire now.
But I think
either way,
I think the reason she was so good in this movie is because it was so close to her real life. Like, I don't think that she just has like that range to like bring it in any role.
I mean, it reminded me. Did you ever see the Birdman movie with Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It kind of had that vibe to it, where it's like the meta quality of this past their prime actor in this exact role where they probably are. I think she's good. I think she's great in the movie, but I don't know. This did feel like her role, like a defining role, and the fact that she didn't win is unfortunate for her.
And did you guys watch her whole Golden Globes acceptance speech? Did you see that?
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Which that's what's got me feeling bad for multimillionaire, extremely famous people again, because she's just like, I was told so many times, Demi, you're a popcorn actress. You're never gonna get up on that stage, kid, or whatever the fuck. And I'm just like,
yeah,
you get it, girl, And I wish she would have won. Ultimately,
yeah,
that's fair.
I also think it's fucked up that people like do say that kind of shit. Because at the end of the day,
it's
they're
just
all
awful
people.
producers. It's just money people.
Yeah,
they don't really have any artistic bone in their body.
No, I mean, like when people say like we shouldn't feel bad for celebrities and shit, it's like just because they have money doesn't mean they're not people.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. Whenever I see that Imagine video, I want to do some damage.
Oh,
I mean,
I forgot about
dude,
that.
I don't think those people. All right, Nick, those people do not need our sympathy, especially if we're not winning a fucking award. Like, it's
No.
not a big deal.
No, but I do.
They lose their home, that's one thing, and like a fire, yeah, sympathy.
No, but I'm talking. But I think that feeling of like your literal whole goal of being an actress is like feeling recognition from other people. Like that is your life's goal. So whenever people say like you're just a fucking shitty actor, you're gonna take shitty roles for the rest of your career, that's something to feel for somebody on. I think.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
that is
yeah.
their life.
No, yeah. That's right. I'm talking about in this particular context of like I'm not gonna expend too much of my time feeling all that much sympathy for her not getting an Oscar. That's what I meant to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
That's
But
fair.
also, one quick thing about Mikey Madison, if we're just going to compare real quick, mentioning that she's the youngest winner of this award, it's really interesting to compare her acceptance speech to Adrian Brody in terms of humbleness and not being a pretentious fucking dick that just says, I hear the music. I know they're trying to play me off, but I don't fucking care. She just got up there, thanked the people she needed to thank, was very gracious, was very sweet.
Yeah.
She got off the stage, and Adrian Brody... Did you guys watch it? Like he fucking the music starts playing. He says stop it, and then he talks in slow motion. Is like war. I was like, dude,
that was another one I used to leave.
Can we just get to Adrian Brody real quick, because you should not be able to fucking win an Oscar if you used AI to fucking correct your fucking voice.
That would happen.
Did that happen?
Fuck that. Yes.
To correct your voice, like, was it just like AI pitch shifting on stuff?
Yeah,
something.
Because
he speaks in Hungarian, I think, and they corrected like vowels and stuff to make it sound more like the actual language.
He didn't even. It's that like that should have disqualified him straight up. Am I crazy?
I don't know.
I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50 because it's like that's not something I would notice at all. So even if they didn't say anything, I'd be like, oh, he's great. But the fact that they did is like, ooh, I don't know. It's weird.
But you're not supposed to notice it. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
But like he didn't have to actually put in the effort that all these other people put in to play their role properly.
It's kind of the argument of like if Andy Serkis should get an award for portraying Gollum.
I was
or something.
just about to say that. Yeah.
It's hard. It's a slippery slope. I don't know where I would align.
Yeah.
I guess it's a different thing though. Like the Gollum is the visual effects married with his mocap performance. That's that's the entire thing. They had to use the AI to clean up his mistakes, which is different to me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's a good point.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind.
Sorry.
Weird situation anyway. Either way,
you're good.
But yeah, he's a pretentious asshole.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. When I saw all I saw was like a post. It was like Adrian Brody said this when they tried to play him off the stage, and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like just reading about it, and then I saw that an article after that. It was like Adrian Brody has the longest speech.
Yeah.
in Oscars, except it's like 5.5 minutes of him just like the war. So I was like, oh no,
it's embarrassing. It's one of those things where like I wonder if these people look back on these and if they're embarrassed or if he's just like, no, that was perfect. I did. No, that was the one.
Didn't he complain that like he wasn't getting work or something? Like nobody was hiring him
in the speech.
That was true for a while.
Didn't
he said something about how acting can be a glamorous profession. It is sometimes, but it's also very fragile and fickle, and like it can go away. Is what he said.
Okay.
I didn't know if
he's only done like.
I didn't know if he was referring to anything specific though. So
he was out of work for like 10 or not. I don't know if he was out of work, but he wasn't really in anything for like 10 years there. So
yeah.
All right, and then that brings us to the big Best Picture winner, which is Anora. Anora sweep.
Yes.
I honestly I thought Brutalist was going to win.
Same.
I thought so too. Yeah,
I had a 1% chance of The Substance winning, and I was sitting there clenching my fists. I knew it wasn't going to happen though.
I would have loved for The Substance. I think Anora's
that would have been so sick.
But man, Anora getting that would be like so great. It'd be like
I was just picturing all of the old like 70-year-old white dudes in the Oscars Academy voters watching Anora and watching The Substance. I'm like, this is so weird.
I saw so many quotes before it where people were like, actual voters were like, oh, I didn't watch that, so I voted for this. I'm like, gross, dude. Why did you say that?
About a lot of them didn't want to vote for Ralph Fiennes because they were convinced he won an Oscar for Schindler's List. But
embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Damn. All right, well, you guys want to get into Krisha?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Oh yeah, real quick, what do we think about Honora winning?
I mean, yeah,
Thumbs up.
I still gotta watch it, but I mean, I love Sean Baker, so I'm.
Well, give me a
Have you
plot
s-
synopsis, Nick.
I haven't
Oh.
seen it.
Just kidding.
I have a question though. What Sean Baker movies haven't you seen, Nick?
I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen Tangerine. I've seen Florida
Same.
Project.
Tangerine's good.
Wait, is it just Florida Project?
Red Rocket was another one.
Oh,
Yeah, Red
Rocket,
Rocket's
he did
good.
in 2021.
oh, damn, guys! I think I've actually come to think of it, I've only seen Florida Project. I gotta
We need a
watch more
Sean.
of his movie.
Eventually, we're gonna have to have a Sean Baker episode because.
Yeah.
We'll try to
All
get
three
Sean
watch
on. Oscar Award winner
Alright.
Sean Baker, would you like to be on our
Alright.
50 sub podcast?
Who wants to give a little rundown of Krisha?
Rendan, you're our guest. Would you like to give us a little rundown? Of
I
Krisha?
feel like I should, yeah. I had
let's
to
hear
put
it.
everyone through this. So the basic premise of Krisha is a grandma comes to Thanksgiving and has a relapse and makes everything a nightmare. It's a very uncomfortable movie about family trauma and people with substance issues. And that's basically it for 80 minutes. It's a complete nightmare.
What made you recommend this one when we reached out?
That's a good question. I don't know, honestly. I really love Trey Edward Schultz's work. I think It Comes at Night is great. I'm kind of alone on that. Nobody really likes that movie, but
No,
Waves is
I
great.
think all of us love it.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
Okay,
I really
that's
like
great.
it.
It Comes at Night. rules.
This is my first Trey Edward Schultz movie.
A lot of his
Okay.
movies kind of feel this way. That I think he comes from a place of like real intense emotions, and he makes his movies based on that. Because from what I understand, Krisha is actually like semi autobiographical. He had like an aunt that actually had a relapse at a Thanksgiving and died, which is wild.
Yeah.
So it feels really like relatable. Relatable is kind of a stretch, but it feels real. And I think that's one reason I wanted to recommend this specifically, is because it's like it's a filmmaker movie. I've had so many people that I've recommended it to that are just friends, and they're like, bro, why do you like this? So I wanted to talk about it with people that I think would have appreciated it. So I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it.
So it's actually insane. So I grew up in the South. So and I think he's from Austin, and this was like set in Austin area, and this is like insanely relatable for me. Like the entire like family dynamic, the way everybody greets everybody, like just the whole like where everybody's like sits during like setting up for Thanksgiving and like how they like set up who's doing what. It's very, very reminiscent of like a Southern like Thanksgiving. So it was for me, and the people like fucking drinking and being stupid. Like for me, it was like it literally was just taking me to my childhood, to like an actual Thanksgiving. So that was kind of wild about this movie.
The thing that I love most about this movie is that, like, you know, from the very first scene, it sets a tone that I literally typed in like Krisha wiki, is this a horror movie? I was like, what the fuck? From the first scene, I didn't think it was, because I actually, Bo Burnham recommended this movie to me, not personally. I just heard him talk about it. I was like,
your roommate Bo Burnham.
yeah, my best friend Bo said this is a good movie to watch, and I hadn't watched it until you recommended it, Rendan. But yeah, so like it seems like a horror movie with the music that's like slow close up on her face and her facial twitches and everything. It's like very disturbing and disorienting. And then that oneer comes in that, you know, the music is very glitchy and jarring and disorienting, and it's just making like there's nothing really happening on screen that's making you feel like something is about to go wrong except for the music. And then eventually the tone and the plot and the characters start breaking down, and it catches up with the music, you know.
Yeah, there's like this undercurrent of tension throughout the entire movie, and on the surface level everyone is like, oh, this is great, and it's just that everyone being at this one location gathered together, the music kind of just starts to like rip through the seams of this like fragile kind of niceness that they all have with one another. I just love that. Yeah, the music was excellent.
Yes, I think my favorite part about it is the fact that it does an incredible job of putting you into her mind. Like you said, in that first one shot where like literally nothing's happening. She's just like going to a house, and she goes to the wrong house, and she steps in some mud, and it's like, oh, it's like a comedy of errors. But the music is so unsettling. immediately I'm like, oh wow, she is not in a good headspace. She does not want to be. She wants to be here, but she is not doing well. And as the movie progresses, it just gets worse and worse and worse until the relapse.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
And the movie's great about building tension too. Like the amount of tension built around just like making a turkey. Like they're like the whole time, like the turkey is just causing so much chaos until it finally falls on the floor and just all hope breaks loose.
Yeah, and then it pitches straight into the climax. Yeah. I love that. Also, it was honestly reminding me of The Substance. Just the gross out shots of just the sound design of the slurping skin. She reaches in, the guy's just watching her as her like bandage of her missing finger gets stuck in the rib cage, and she pulls it out, and he's just like covering his mouth while he's watching. That was so funny.
The guy who played the like uncle, or I don't know what the fuck he was, but he was really
I love that guy. I love
he was so awesome.
Yeah.
I think
dogs.
I want to say he's like one of very few people in the movie that's an actual actor. I think the majority of them are family members, and he was one that they wanted to have be an actor. Could be wrong, but
that makes sense.
I think I recognize him from something else
because he was great.
Yeah, I love
the Heartbreak Incarnate.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that scene, because right before that, they're kind of like joking around about the dog. I really love that about this movie, because like they seem cordial initially, like him and her. That the most tension, there's unspoken tension between Trey and Krisha, but there's a lot of active tension between Doyle, the uncle, and her. They're sort of getting along. He's like, I want you to feel welcome here and all that stuff. But as soon as she starts picking at him about the dogs, he flips on a fucking dime. I had to rewind it. I was like, what happened? But then I just realized, like, that's what this movie is so good at doing. It's like it implies all of this history and all of this family trauma it doesn't need to be actually shown or even told to you, really, because it's so apparent in the way everyone's acting,
Yeah, the exposition is like very, very minimal.
Yeah.
Like I think the only time it's really in your face is whenever she's talking to her sister after she actually has already like relapsed.
Yeah. The one scene that specifically I'm thinking of is like the first scene where she pulls Trey and she's like, "Hey, can we go talk upstairs?" You get that unbroken take of her just like him saying like one or two words, and she just going on and on, and then like, "Oh, well, we should do this," and then as soon as he kind of snips at her, she's like, "I'm sorry, I messed up." It's very uncomfortable, and then you get that really heartbreaking reverse shot at the very end of the movie where you see his like lip quivering, and I was like, this is heartbreaking. This is so sad.
This is like one of those movies too where like I have to try really hard not to nitpick, because you have to take in mind the budget.
Right.
It's like there's like little things that I'm like
what are your fucking nitpicks? What are
well, like,
I want to know.
The director is a bad actor. Like and it sucks because the woman he had playing Krisha is like genuinely pretty fucking good.
She's great.
Yeah, she's great.
Excellent.
And I think he like kind of made like he like stole her like thunder in that scene a little bit, like by like just kind of not playing his part as good as he.
I don't know. He felt like a real dejected, like family member.
I think it was serviceable. It was serviceable, and it didn't pull me out of the movie. But like I had to like, I feel like when I watch any movie that's in this budget range, I kind of have to like turn off that part of my brain sometimes.
That's like my favorite part about this movie is that it's very, very clearly a hyper low budget movie that they just shot at his mom's house. But very few times in the movie did I actually feel the budget. It feels like a movie, like kind of like Anora, where it's super low budget, but it doesn't feel like it at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was super intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just no, you're good. It's like it's so microscopically small budget, but the choices that they make, especially in like the editing, are so strong that I don't even notice it.
Yeah,
it was like really smartly written. He like gave the perfect amount of lines to everybody so that nobody had to like fumble,
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that he has so many talented actors just laying around in his family line. Like, what the fuck? Even Krisha's sister, the one who comes upstairs, that's his mom.
Oh yeah.
I think, right? That's his actual Trey's actual mom.
Oh wow.
And she was great too. I mean, she didn't have to really go at it for very long. It's really just that one scene where she has
a tear, bro.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, Krisha isn't about the actual Krisha in this movie. He said it's sort of loosely based on the experiences his biological father had with addiction and alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
So she's probably thinking about that stuff. You know, that's what makes it. This movie is so fucking real. And the thing that I love, it's really, it depicts relapse and the reasons why people relapse very accurately, because it's like, if you think about it, she's coming back after doing all this work to try to be sober to this family environment that she wants to be, you know, a part of so much, because she's lost so much time with her son that she's more or less abandoned. But the fact that it actually is the stress of that family environment and not being able to make it work in the way she wants to that forces her back into the thing that she's trying to avoid in the first place. It's so fucking, it's so tragic. It's sad.
And also just her reaching out to people to try and like avoid it too, and like nobody will fucking back. Nobody has her
no
back
one
at all.
puts out an olive branch for her at all.
Yeah,
It's just
the real
it's a
tragedy.
domino effect. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I this recent rewatch for me was really illuminating on that fact, especially where I was watching, like, the first 10 minutes are just like a nightmare. It's just this one unbroken take of these families pretending to be nice to each other, and the camera's constantly just getting closer and closer and closer, and the music's horrible. I mean, the music's great, but it's horrible. And then it like hard cuts at one point to her smoking by herself, and everything stops. And I was like, so that's how this starts, where it's like she's so overwhelmed in this moment. This substance is the one thing that's giving her the calm. And that was like, I thought that was such a genius choice.
And then later on, they start adding more and more sounds to those moments too. So like whenever she's like really getting stressed out, she hears the two talking about fucking and shit, and
or like bouncing the ball on the ground.
Yeah, that was stressing me out, because I always know when I have someone in my family or like at a gathering that I know doesn't do well with crowds and sounds, I'm like hyper aware of it because I'm looking out for them. And then if people like I think it was when she's starting to like chop fruit, like vegetables to prep the turkey, and it's just people are just screaming and yelling over the couch, and just like there's parts where she's just like asking someone for like, oh, do you guys know where this is? And you can't even hear them talking because people are yelling about football or wrestling, or just like, dude, stop bouncing the dang ball.
Yep,
it's stressful. It really is stressful.
And like, I know I've beat this horse to death, but we've talked about Joel Haver a bunch of times. Like, this is what I would love to see from him. Like, actual thought put into how I can make a movie on a low budget, because it's all about planning and actually like doing what's within your, like what you can within your means. And I don't like, this is just like a perfect example of like a small budget film that like really shines.
Yeah, it's kind of inspiring, honestly, because it's like this such a small location, such a small amount of people, and they get so much out of it. And he pushes the medium in interesting ways too, with like changing the lenses in the middle of the movie. And it goes from Academy aspect ratio all of a sudden to anamorphic. And I'm like, whoa, that's such a dramatic change. Final act, and then he even changes again to, I think, 1-3-3-1, and every moment is so purposeful. Like I wouldn't think to do that. If I'm shooting something on anamorphic, I'm just shooting it on anamorphic. But he's like, okay, she has her relapse. Now the aspect ratio completely constricts, and it looks completely different now.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
I love the relapse scene itself of just her trying to get the fucking the scissors into the.
It's really funny, but
she's just like, I love how much of a mess he made her, dude. She's just a nightmare.
Dude, I mean, Nick, what you were saying before about just tension building, so true. Just the fact that I was like on the edge of my seat just watching this drunk woman pull a fucking turkey out of the oven. And before before the tiny canine abuse and all the other horrible stuff that happens at the end, I was actually thinking, I was like, it's insane that this movie is treating a turkey falling on the ground like a murder just happened in the family. And I'm like totally buying it. You're getting the same, the music, everyone's the heightened emotions of everyone in the cast, and it feels like, holy shit, some crazy shit just happened, and you're just looking at like a busted turkey.
So just imagine how overwhelmed you would be in this edit with this, but this is the footage you have, and you're like, okay, I gotta make this fucking tense.
I couldn't imagine.
I can't, like, oh my god, that's impressive.
Yeah. The editing is the best part, I think, by a lot. Like the fact that it's cutting around to all these different perspectives, all these different moments. Like the moment when she's talking to the guy on the porch, and then kind of goes away from that, and then comes back, and he's like a nightmare. And then she goes to her room, and she's like peering down on everyone from above. I don't know how you cut this. It's pretty remarkable.
Yep.
I think this is I think this is A24 at its best, really. I think this is what this is the kind of stuff that A24 should get behind. This is one of my favorite movies I've seen from them. I think, which is impressive because I love A24. You know, not to be a fun bro, but I love them, and I feel like I don't know if I've seen a movie that like really resonated with me more. I have personal history with addiction, so like I get it, you know, it really hits me there. But like, I don't know, man, this movie is super low budget, super impressive. Just think about all the fucking coordination it took to get all those actors that aren't even real actors,
aren't actors.
You know, it's just like fucking crazy. It's so impressive.
Yep.
Yeah, which working with non-actors takes way more time. You know, it's like it's really making comfortable.
People act like it's like impossible to break into the film industry. It's like, no, it's harder. It's a lot fucking harder.
Yeah, it is definitely harder. But I think the films like this are how you do it. And I mean, no one can make a movie like this but him, probably. I mean, some people could try, but I think it also why it resonates so much is because it asks really challenging questions. I mean, this is a movie that it's about like fairly rich people in a pretty nice area, and yet at no point was I like, you know, this is just like rich people, I don't have to care. It managed to bring it into a really human place and ask questions about things that everybody can deal with. Like, I mean, I've had personal things like this happen too, where family members were getting absolutely plastered at family gatherings and ruining the night. I mean, I think everybody has. So it asks interesting questions about that stuff too. Like, when do you help? When don't you help? Can you still hold grudges against these people for however long that she's been out of their lives? Because there clearly still are. And when do you stop doing stuff like that? Like, her family was not helping her in this situation at all. They were actively not pleasant with her.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like, sorry, you go on, Ethan.
No, it's interesting because it's like, since she is the protagonist, you're hoping, you're just like, okay, someone just reach out and be genuinely kind and accepting of her, like she is clearly trying. But then I'm also like, but I don't really know what she's done. You know, she might have done something horrible where she has no right to ask for their forgiveness. So it's just this collision of these two. It's like immovable force meets or an unsolvable force meets immovable object. It's like, this is not going to end well.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
that's exactly what happens.
I disagree with you guys about that, because I feel like, first of all, she did abandon her son. That guy Doyle is right by saying, you're not a fucking, you know, college grad who's going off to find themselves. You're 60 years old. You have a kid. Like, you do need to get the shit together. Which is, you know, this movie, anyone who is like not sure about having a kid and they have personal issues or whatever, and you know, those things don't just go away magically. Like, did you watch this movie and say, like, you could be 65 fucking years old, popping wine bottles with like mustache trimmers or whatever in a fucking bathroom and ruining Thanksgiving, you know, and alienating all your kids and family members. And it's like, I don't know. If you think about the scene when she's calling, you know, I assume her boyfriend, you know, when he's not answering.
Right.
So the way she treats him for just not answering a fucking phone call is ridiculous. You know?
Yeah, it is.
It's like, I wish you were dead. Like, all that's, it's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think realistically she's the antagonist of the movie, but I think it frames it in a way where you can kind of see her perspective as well.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, is that she ruins literally everything. Like, she ruined her kid's life. She ruins his Thanksgiving. She's just not a great person. But like you said, Ethan, it's you want to cheer for her because she's the protagonist. She's come into this family. She's done the work, she says. And you just don't know anything about her, and you don't know other than that she abandoned her kid and she's kind of horrible. So it's an interesting kind of balancing act that I don't know how they managed to pull it off, where she is just the worst and yet you cheer for her. It's the fact that they don't explain anything is probably why. Because it's like, if you went into weird like flashbacks into bad moments, you would hate her immediately. And I think that would ruin the movie because it kind of would defeat the purpose.
Because was I wrong, or was it treated? It was like a reveal at the very end when you find out she was his mom, right? Okay,
it's a bit.
It was in the.
It's in the.
Yeah, it's in the room. She talks about it.
Oh, really? Okay, I must have missed that, because the entire time I was really concerned because I didn't know that, and she keeps having these really weird touchy-feely moments with Trey, and I was like, "Is this like a child predator thing? Like, did she do something to him?" And then when I heard the final line in like the last minute, I was like, Oh, okay. That's still
I
awful,
honestly,
but
that's
I feel
kind of what I
better.
was talking about with like his acting though, like because I think he didn't play that part perfectly because it was almost like he was like
Holding back.
he was treating it, instead of being like uncomfortable because of like a weird situation, he was treating it almost like he was uncomfortable because like he'd been abused, which maybe that is the case or something.
I didn't get that at all. I wouldn't have considered that. You guys got to get your mind out of the gutter, I think, is what it really is.
Sorry, listen to the actual movie more.
Wait, what was I gonna say? Sorry. Does anyone else have anything? I had a thought. I forget what it was.
I just think it's great. I think everything about it is fantastic.
This is what it was. It was there's one moment at the end where, you know, like when she first comes down the stairs after waking up and like choking out the goddamn dog. She's you know, the sister has to bring her back upstairs, and she's kind of like, what happened? Like, I thought you were doing the work. I didn't really believe you, blah blah blah. Then she pukes. They have that conversation, and then there's sort of a montage thing, and you see a completely different version of that scene play out where she's except this time like very angry. It's basically the same conversation, just a different tone. Like, what did you guys make of that? I wasn't sure if that was like metaphorical or whatever.
I took that as like she went back down again.
You think it? Oh, okay.
And, I think it just got worse. I mean, she's drunk and emotional.
I think it was literally it happened again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she just went right back down and started causing shit.
Okay.
And then you get that whole screaming match and the breaking the glass. Yeah,
that's interesting. I took it a little more metaphorically, I guess, because I thought of it as like, since she's in a horrible relapse state, she wanted to see things with rose-colored glasses, and that the real conversation was way worse. But I don't know. Actually, it's interesting.
That's kind of what I was. I was wondering if it was like what she actually said was the nice version of it, but then once she started getting drunker and like her emotions are getting more worked up, then what she perceives it as, like, you fucking, I never loved you, blah blah, like all that stuff. That's kind of, I don't know. It's open to interpretation, but I was just wondering what you guys
definitely
thought.
want to rewatch it. Yeah.
Well, I think she like went and drank and did more shit, right? Like before the second time.
Yeah, but I think that happens before like the big blow up fight at the dinner table though. So I don't know. I'm not really entirely sure.
I'd have to rewatch it again to remember.
And then we'll learn the mystery of why she's missing her finger one day.
Yeah.
No, I think
Krisha too.
The actress lost her finger a bit before filming and then almost dropped out, and then they just kind of worked it into the story.
Oddly enough, it was just a dog fight.
That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, a dog bit it off, from what I understand.
Dang. What the hell?
Which is crazy.
Damn, you got to be careful with that later on dogs. I swear to God.
Yeah, she's gonna choke them out.
Does that make you guys uncomfortable? I hate animal abuse.
Oh yeah, I thought it was fake. I was like, "That's a fake dog," and then it moved, and I went, "Oh."
Yeah.
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 So what are we thinking with ratings on this one? Out of 10.
We'll go in a clockwise.
So
okay. Who starts then?
Ethan first.
Okay. I really fucking love this, especially as someone who's getting into filmmaking. I just really respect anyone that's like incredibly low budget that's able to make this story told with such little resources. And I'm very comfortably giving this thing a 9 out of 10. I really, really liked it. Thank you for this rec.
Me next?
Wait,
clockwise.
Okay.
Nick,
my bad.
It's in different orders for all of us then.
I don't know.
It is
looking at.
Okay, so I go like 8.5 on it. I think it's really good.
Okay, and then I'll say 9.5, a little bit higher. I love this.
It's probably be 8 or a 9. I'm leaning towards a 9 though.
Oh, this was a good one.
Yeah. Super high.
All right, I mean, unless anyone has any final thoughts, I feel like we're comfortable closing up here. Right?
Yeah, I will say I'm kind of excited to go through his filmography because I really gelled with this. I have not seen Into the Woods what's it called?
It Comes at Night.
It comes at
Into the Woods. I guess
I've not seen It Comes at Night, and I have not seen Waves yet either. But I'm really excited to check those out now.
They're great. You definitely should. They kind of have a similar vibe where it's just very family trauma centric. It Comes at Night's my favorite though. That's my jam.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess I'll get my rec for next week while we're here.
What are we watching next week?
So this one's might be a little bit of torture for Nick. I'm not sure. Maybe he'll like it. But
is it anime?
No, it'll be the 2020 film Psycho Gorman by Steven Kostanski.
Wow, that's a good rec.
So
that will be interesting.
This is actually my, like, no joke, my actual favorite movie of 2020.
No way.
Okay.
So I'm excited for this.
I don't have an
That's
issue
fine.
with slashers. It's just like for the podcast
It's
form.
not a slasher.
It's not.
like
It's
a
not.
slasher.
Okay.
This looks like a live action anime movie.
It's not a live action.
Goofy.
I would say
Okay.
it's like if like Power Rangers was like R-rated.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
fun.
Like for
Alright,
instance,
okay.
we talked about Terrifier, and I just had a hard time about
Oh.
that because it's like I don't know. There's not much to say about it besides, oh, remember that? That was gross.
Yeah.
No,
that was
there's-
good.
Sucks.
A lot more depth to this movie, and especially the filmmaking of this movie than Terrifier for sure.
All right, as long as I'm cool with that, then that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, Psycho Gorman's way more interesting.
Rendan, before I send us out, do you want to plug yourself? Tell the audience what you've been up to, where they can find you.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you can just find me at the Rendan Lovell channel. It's just my name. So that's pretty much it. That's all I'm up to, making YouTube videos, doing stuff on the side, having fun, chilling with some cool dudes. So that's all I'm doing.
Yeah,
Cool.
Brendan, thank you so much for all the kind words you said throughout the pod. We really appreciate it. Thank you for recommending Krisha. Thank you for being here. You know, this is really fun.
Yeah,
It's been a
thanks
blast.
for-
First
thanks for
guest.
being on here.
It was a great
You're
team.
a great guest.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Yeah. If you guys enjoyed this episode and you're listening to it on YouTube, please leave a like or a comment. If you're listening to this on one of the audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review because that really helps us out. And if you don't want to be spoiled for PG Psycho Gorman, directed by Steve Kostanski from 2020, for next episode, make sure to watch it. And we'll see you guys next time. And get stuck.
Get stuck.
Thank you.
Get Stuckmanized.
Get stuckmanized.